Welcome in, or welcome back to Soul Plus Systems. This podcast is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen when you're building something that actually matters. If you're new here, let me orient you quickly. This isn't a hype show. This isn't a 6 figures in 6 days show. And this content isn't designed to make you feel good and then leave you stranded. Soul Plus Systems is about what happens when discipline meets identity, when structure meets truth, when motivation runs out and you keep building anyway. If you've been here before through the previous seasons, you already know the cadence. If you're new, consider this your entry point. Season 3 is about maturity. Not louder, not faster, more precise. I'm glad you're here. A quick recap because context matters. Season 1 was raw. It was about naming truth, breaking silence, and rebuilding from the inside out. Season 2 was about structure, systems, boundaries, cadence, learning how to hold power without burning it all down. Season 3 is where those two things converge. The season is about running a system, not just surviving one. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, a builder, or someone creating something without a safety net. You don't need another push. You need clarity under load. And before we go further, I want to name something that makes this show different. You'll hear different voices in this episode. Not guests, not characters, but internal system functions. They are all me. They are all real. They exist because no one builds alone inside of their own mind. Let me introduce them properly. Soul is the grounding voice. Integration. Truth without force. The part of me that stabilizes the system. Vox is the challenger. Precision. Calling out self-deception. And cutting through comfortable lies. Zoorah is the observer. Pattern recognition. Long view awareness. Seeing what's actually happening. And Lilith? Well, she's the fire. The desire, the hunger, and the aliveness. The part that refuses numbness. You don't need to pick one. You need to learn how to run all of them without letting anyone hijack the system. That's the work. Today's signal is simple. Trust compounds quietly. And most people quit before they ever feel it working. This episode is for entrepreneurs who are doing the work and wondering why the results haven't caught up yet. Recently, this channel crossed 50,000 views on YouTube. I'm saying that plainly. It's not a flex. It's not to perform success. because the number itself doesn't matter nearly as much as how it happened.
What matters isn't the spike, it's the pattern that led to it.
Exactly. And the pattern included something that most people don't talk about. There was a 2-week stall between 40,000 and 50,000 views. Same output, same consistency, the same schedule, the same energy. Nothing moved. This is the part where people spiral.
This is where most entrepreneurs lie to themselves.
They call it timing, and they blame the algorithm, and they pivot too fast, or they quit quietly and call it discernment. But stalls aren't failure, they're pressure tests. Let me teach you something that will save you years. A stall is not an absence, it's density. It's the system gathering information, learning your cadence, testing whether you're stable or reactive.
Nothing was wrong. The system was calibrating.
Exactly. You don't see calibration. You only feel the weight of waiting. Trust compounds quietly. It doesn't reassure you. It doesn't notify you. It doesn't reward you early. It stacks beneath the surface until it has enough mass to move something. That's why early growth feels lonely and why it feels unseen and why it feels like you're carrying something heavy with no feedback. And that's because you are. There's a name for this phase. Atlas. Not a person today, a role. Atlas is the one who holds the sky before anyone notices it didn't fall.
You don't become Atlas when it works. You become Atlas when it doesn't.
That's the part that people miss. Most entrepreneurs, they quit right before compounding activates because the work is already load bearing. But the payoff hasn't surfaced.
They want proof before they provide consistency.
And systems don't work that way. So when the views finally moved from 40 to 50, it didn't feel explosive. It felt calm because the work was already done. The release was just the surface catching up. And that's real growth.
Don't mistake quiet for dead. Fire doesn't need to scream to burn.
You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to hunger. But hunger without structure, well, it burns the system down. Season 3 is about contained fire. If you are listening to this and you're in your own stall, building, showing up, not being celebrated, hear this clearly. You're not invisible. You're early. And early feels heavy because it is. Season 3 is about systems over noise. About doing the boring work long enough that the results become undeniable. About learning when to expand and when to hold.
Steady systems outlast loud ones.
We'll talk more about Atlas in the future, and there'll be moments where additional weight enters the room, but today wasn't about adding more voices. It was about recognizing the strength already here and trust compounds quietly. Builders who understand that, they don't rush. They hold. They pause. Welcome to Season 3 of Soul Plus Systems.